Siamo arrivati alla fine di questa maratona eroica di speech. Saluto chi ci sta guardando in quella telecamera. Siamo all'ultimo ospite, un ospite internazionale, che però io annuncio in italiano come ho fatto con tutti gli altri ospiti internazionali. Ci parlerà di marketing, precisamente di quando il marketing fa accadere le cose, che è una cosa interessante perché spesso si parla di marketing in maniera un po' troppo evanescente. Quindi fate un grande e caldo applauso a Charlie Todd.
How's everybody doing today? Who does, if you speak English, raise your hand. Okay, most of you, good. And I know there's translation available for those of you who don't, and I'll try to go slow for the translators. But I'm very excited to be here in Meritea. We're having a lovely time. Raise your hand if you know of the group Improv Everywhere, if you've heard of Improv Everywhere. A few people, not too many. So we're based in New York City. Our motto is, we cause scenes. So we stage moments of surprise and delight in public spaces. And I started the group about 18 years ago when I moved to New York City after college. I was interested in being an actor. I was interested in getting into comedy. But as a 22-year-old, I didn't have any opportunity to do that, right? I didn't have any connections. I was new to the city. So I started staging performances in public spaces, which was the only stage that I had. So the first video I'm going to show you today is of the very first no pants subway ride. This is turned into an annual event. It's something that's happened in cities all over the world. It's a holiday that I sort of accidentally started, but this is the very first no pants subway ride in January of 2002. If I can get the clicker to work. Let's see. Hold on. Pressing down. One second while we work on the clicker. I'll talk a little bit about this video before we show it. So I was riding a bus one day and it occurred to me that it'd be very funny to stage something where people got on at different stops, but we're all doing the same thing. So it would seem like they didn't know each other, but they were all doing the same thing. And it was winter in New York City, about 0 degrees Celsius on this day. So I figured that the weirdest thing possible would be for people to board the train without their pants on. And now, there it goes, okay. Okay, so this is the 6th train in New York City. It's filmed with a hidden camera. The people who you see now do not know they're being filmed. Very basic hidden camera just hiding under a magazine. These are 2 Danish guys that sit down next to the hidden cameraman. They're not in on it. And this is me here. I'm wearing a winter coat, as you can see. I'm wearing a scarf. I'm wearing a winter hat. But as this woman will notice, I am not wearing pants. So that woman is not in on it. She just happens to be where the camera was pointed. So the woman goes back to reading her book. The 2 Danish guys look at me, but they go back to chatting for a second. And at this point, it's not that unusual. It's New York City. There's a man in his underwear. Honestly, there's a weird person in almost every subway car in New York City. So people were able to sort of compartmentalize it, ignore me as a crazy person, and go back to their day. What they don't know is that I have 6 friends who are waiting at the next 6 subway stops, standing on the platform in their underwear, and that they will be entering this car as well. So you'll see she takes one more look at me here, slyly. And now the train is opening its doors at stop number 2. So that's my friend Jesse. And so now people on the train are starting to wonder what's going on. This woman decides she's going to put her book away and try to figure out what's up. In the meantime, the 2 Danish guys are laughing really loudly. They think this is the funniest thing they've ever seen, and she makes eye contact with them right about now. Here she goes. And you see she smiles and starts laughing herself when she realizes she's not crazy. She's not the only one that's seeing what's happening. I love that moment in this video because it's a human connection that happens. It becomes a shared experience. It's no longer this weird thing that's only happening to her. It's happening to everybody on the train. And there's this sharing and a moment that happens between strangers on a train, which I love creating. So this is stop number 3. Guess who doesn't have pants on? So this continues, the video won't show everything, but it goes on for 4 more subway stops. At the end, one of our friends, a woman, got on with a big duffel bag full of pants and announced she had pants for sale for $1. And everybody bought a pair of pants, put their pants on, and exited the train and went in all different directions. Let's see if I can get this to work. So that's a still image from that video. And I've always loved her reaction. We just got lucky that we were pointed at somebody who gave us a really great reaction. For years and years and years, I wondered about that woman. This was in 2002, so this was about 4 years before YouTube existed. So this video just existed in my closet on a tape. We started a website where we had pictures and text, but no video. I put the video online in 2007, and she left a comment. Someone had forwarded it to her, and she said, "Oh my God, I've been telling this story for 5 years about this crazy thing that happened to me, and I never knew what it was." And that is sort of the point of Improv Everywhere, to stage these unexplained moments of surprise and delight in public spaces, to give people a great story to tell. We'll do the next slide. So this is the first large-scale thing I did. So I started taking improv comedy classes at a place called Upright Citizens Brigade Theater in New York, which is a comedy theater founded by Amy Poehler, who you might know. And all of a sudden, I had lots of people who wanted to go out and do these weird things with me. This is a retail store. It's a clothing store, a shoe store, and a grocery store. And I was walking through the park one day, and I saw a girl who was dancing in one of these windows. It's right in front of Union Square Park at 14th Street in New York City. And I realized that she was very much on stage, this woman who was dancing in the window, and she was just joking around with a friend. But I decided what I needed to do was to get a performer in every single window of this entire building without the authorization of the store. So this is what we ended up doing. It was about 100 performers, and they held up signs that said, "Look up more." Everybody dressed in black, and they did a routine of dances in the windows with no permission of the store. The shoe store asked everybody to leave, but the clothing store and the grocery store did not. The next project I want to show you is another large-scale thing. So things started getting bigger and bigger, and eventually I had hundreds of people who wanted to come out and stage something with me.
All right, thanks for coming out, everybody. I'm really excited that all you guys are here. We've got a really exciting mission that we're going to be doing today. We're going to be freezing in place on cue at the exact second. We're going to hold that for 5 minutes, and then we're going to unfreeze, and we're out.
So this took place in Grand Central Terminal in New York City, about 200 people participating, and everybody went undercover into the station, and at exactly 2 o'clock, everybody froze in place, making it seem like time had stopped. So I was there and a couple of other actors with microphones walking around chatting with people.
You see that guy over there?
They stopped what they were doing and just stood like frozen.
How long has this been happening?
I don't know.
I just walked in. Has it been going on for a while?
No, it's just noticed. This guy just dropped the papers a couple minutes ago. About a minute ago, not even.
Look at that lady over here.
It's like everybody.
Yeah.
So this guy had a trash cart.
Can't move my car. There's hundreds of people frozen everywhere. This is wild.
But lucky for him, just before he got too annoyed, the 5 minutes was over, and everybody started to move.
What's going on?
I don't either.
I think it's some kind of protest, probably. It's either that or an acting class.
No, they are not moving. I can't move my cart. I need some help. Never mind. They're moving.
That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Really cool.
I thought it was only me who was seeing it for a little while.
So that's Frozen Grand Central. That's a thank you. So it was funny. This was shot in 2007, before the iPhone, before people really had video cameras in their pockets at all times like we do now. So a common reaction of people who were in the terminal that day who wanted to document what was happening was to take out their digital cameras and take pictures, which we found to be very funny because a digital photo of people freezing in place is a useless photo. Everyone is frozen in place in a photo. This is a time-lapse photo that our photographer took that can sort of show you who was frozen and who was not. This video ended up getting posted to the front page of YouTube. Do you remember when YouTube used to have a real front page and it was curated by an actual human being and not an algorithm? Well, that's what it was like in 2008, and this video made it to the front page, and it changed my life. It's the reason I'm here today. It really brought Improv Everywhere a lot of attention. So not only did it get lots and lots of views, and it got like 30 million views in the first 6 months, which back then was a really big deal, but it inspired people all over the world to go out and freeze in place in train stations or public squares, college campuses. There's at least one little marking in Italy. I think that's probably Rome up there. So it started this movement, and all of a sudden there were hundreds and hundreds of people who were signing up for my mailing list and wanting to do this in cities around the world. And I realized that I could continue to do things always with 200 people or with the thousands of people, and I've done some events with 2,000 to 3,000 people. But I also realized the power of this crowd, that I could recruit specific types of people in this crowd. So this is not Photoshop. This is 15 identical twins who are on the subway in New York City, seated across from each other. So I reached out to my growing mailing list of participants and said, who's an identical twin? Who knows an identical twin? And I got 15 pairs. We had them dress alike and sit on the subway. So anyone who stepped onto that subway car, if they looked one way and looked the other way, they would see this perfect human mirror, as the project was called. And as I was developing these ideas, I just got really excited about staging things that were pranks, that were surprises, that were tricks in a way, but that were positive. And at that point, almost every prank show you saw on television was negative. It was about making fun of somebody. It was about making somebody feel like an idiot, frustrating someone, embarrassing someone. So we seek to do things that delight people. This is a location in New York City where two subway trains meet. It's a big transfer point where the 6 train meets the E train. And I was making this transfer once early in the morning, and I realized how depressing the place was. There's these 2 giant escalators. There's a long line to get on the escalators in the morning, and the stairs are just so much that you wouldn't want to do it, or you're going to be sweating when you arrive to work. So I decided to try to stage something happy at this place. This was done on a Monday morning in February. It was very cold out. People were a little depressed on their way to work, lining up for these escalators. So we had 5 actors holding up signs on the staircase. And that's my friend Rob at the top. So it was, to me, the big lesson learned from this project was that all it took was 6 actors and 5 pieces of paper to completely transform this subway station for the morning. In fact, the people on the other escalator were jealous that they couldn't reach over. And almost every New Yorker who walked by on the left side of the left escalator put their hand out and gave a high five. And it was great to see people's moods change from the bottom of the escalator to the top of the escalator. Almost everyone was smiling once they got to the top. So there's a still image of it. Thank you. And I should point out, holding the first sign is my wife, who is here today, and she'll be in the next video too. I was riding the subway car one day, and the way that the doors opened on the 6 train, and the way that the train had these white walls reminded me of the rebel ship in the beginning of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. So I decided that I needed to bring Star Wars to the subway. This project is called Star Wars Subway Car. So this is my wife, Cody, dressed as Princess Leia, reading a book called Galactic Rebellion for Dummies. Princess edition, that's right. And we had other performers waiting on the platform, getting in at the exact right stop. So these are the stormtroopers looking for Leia in the beginning of the film. And all these projects on the subway are completely without the authorization of our subway system. Just fun surprises. This guy's very confused.
There's one. Grab her. Inform Lord Vader we have a prisoner.
So the subway car just erupted with laughter when Vader got on. I won't show the whole video, but they proceed to do the scene from the film. And we did it a few times, and actually the first time we did it, Vader bumped his head on the door on the way in, which is funny because there's an outtake in the film where a stormtrooper does that. This was a particularly fun project, bringing these characters to life. And in general, all of our best ideas, I think, are ones that are site-specific. I'm going to show one more subway example. There's a platform on the subway system that is incredibly hot, where it's the 34th Street platform where the NR QW train is. And it's, you know, if it's 85 degrees outside, it's 95 degrees in the subway platform. So one day, we decided to turn it into a spa. We had about 20 performers wearing towels. We gave out massages, hot stone massages to real people who were there. So as Improv Everywhere got bigger and bigger, we had a YouTube channel, we had lots of subscribers, and all of a sudden, marketers started calling. Influencer marketing started being a big thing. And even before it was influencer marketing, it was just brands trying to figure out how to do something on YouTube, how to collaborate with people on YouTube. And I think over time, this genre of surprise and delight is a term that I start seeing in presentations from marketers who are doing things that don't even involve us. It's become an entire genre of marketing, an entire genre of entertainment. I think people have realized the power of surprising, delighting customers, surprising and delighting real people, and having positive energy in their projects. So I'm going to show a couple of collaborations that I've done with brands or other institutions. This first one was with Carnegie Hall and the Juilliard School. This was in the middle of the city, Herald Square near Macy's in New York City. We set up a full orchestra, and we brought in this podium right here in this pedestrian island with a sign that said, "Conduct us." And then we just walked away. And this is really the first guy that stepped up.
Like this? Keep going? Good job.
So it was really fun watching such a diverse group of New Yorkers, all types of people, all ages of people, conducting this orchestra. This woman, for some reason, wanted a solo. Really wanted a solo. Really liked that one violin player. And people had different styles of conducting. It was fun to watch what people brought to the project. And even though none of these people know how to conduct an orchestra, our performers did their best to try to follow what was mostly nonsense, especially this guy. They would try to be quiet, adjust their volume, adjust their tempo.
As a young. I got a job over here, okay?
So thank you. One big lesson that I've learned from staging projects like this is to invite the public to be a part of it. Invite real people to bring their own creativity to the project, whether that's people participating or people who we just run into on the street. So for the Grand Central project, I didn't tell 200 people 200 different ways to freeze in place. One guy came up with the fun idea to tie his shoe. A couple came up with the idea to kiss each other. Letting sort of your creativity be crowdsourced can be very powerful. And then with a project like this, trusting that you can put something open-ended out on the street, out into public space, and that members of the public will bring their own creativity to it. I couldn't have cast a better group of people to do that project. So I'm going to show another project that was a collaboration with another organization. This was with MTV. Last year for the Video Music Awards, J-Lo was winning the Video Vanguard Award, and they wanted to do a J-Lo themed project to celebrate that. So we did this in a bodega, a deli in the Bronx, where J-Lo's from.
If you had my love and I gave you all my trust, would you comfort me? And if somehow you knew that your love would be untrue, would you lie to me and call me baby? If you had my love and I gave you all my trust, would you comfort me?
So it's been fun to see, you can move to the next slide. It's been fun to see how this project that started, you know, it was a very small thing, has become something where we're now making television shows and we're making promos for television and branded projects as well. I'm going to show one last thing. This is a holiday thing that we did last year. This is in the South Street Seaport in New York City.
That was interesting. Look at that.
This was a collaboration with Target, the retail brand. And we put this outlet in front of this giant boombox in this public plaza.
Go check it out. What is it?
What do we do?
It says, please plug in.
Plug it in.
Plug it in.
Do it. Can you pick it up?
Help me, it's heavy. Lara, get it. Lara, grab. I mean, I'm following directions. I don't know.
Here, let's try.
Oh my God. Wait, okay.
Find the wheel, and it goes round, round, round as it spins along with a happy sound and you love.
So it went from an empty plaza to suddenly having 100 performers dancing and doing flips as the lights turned on and all the ships down there. And then we had 12 snow machines.
That was amazing. So good. It was overwhelming.
Once I heard the music and I saw everyone dancing,
I think it really captured the holiday spirit.
Beautiful.
And it's wonderful. Like Christmas, you know?
Very,
just
very nice.
fabulous.
Very nice.
Can we do it again?
yeah, you know.
So that was the giant boombox. Thank you. So to wrap up, I know there's people from all different backgrounds here, and a lot of you are entrepreneurs, a lot of you work for startups, and I would just encourage you as you're thinking of ways to go out and introduce yourselves to the public, and you're thinking of ways to market, you're thinking of ways to create content around your brand, is to consider surprise and delight. Consider bringing joy into the world. Consider having a positive message and bringing positivity out into public spaces. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys at the party.
Do you have time for questions? Like a couple of questions? Okay, we can get the microphone. Okay. First one.
Hi Charlie, I'm Francesco Mantegazzini. I'm actually a New York retired because I lived in New York from 95 to 2001 before the towers. I don't know if I might have seen you because I lived off Broadway, so did you realize that if you had done too many times that thing with the going out with underwear, probably most people in New York would have turned wearing underwear outside?
Yeah, well, our No Pants Subway Ride is something that we've done every year. It's probably going to end eventually, but it's turned into this thing that I can't end because people want to do it every single year, even if I'm personally gotten a little tired of it. But it is funny, in that video that we show, you see, 6 guys without pants on. And in recent years, it's 50%, sometimes more than 50% female. It's children who do it. It's grandparents who do it. It's become a really diverse thing, people of all backgrounds. And I'm very proud of that. And it is funny that there will be 30 people in a subway car and just like 2 people with their pants on. So it completely flips everything.
So it did happen. Okay,
yeah.
That's very fun.
Hi, I wanted to know, you say you've been growing in different countries. Is this like a self-regulated thing, or is you decided to set up a community and go like with several rules, etc., or is it just people say, hey, I want to do this, and then they go ahead and do it?
Yeah, it's more like-minded people in other countries who have just started doing their own thing. We have some events, like specifically the No Pants Subway Ride. People would email me saying, I live in Rome, can I do it too? I live in Paris, I live in Toronto. And we just put out the word that if you want to do it, it's going to be on this day, and this is how we do it, and do it the same way and maintain the spirit of what it is. And that's worked well. So in general, I never wanted to have to micromanage groups in other countries and become a manager who's dealing with even with the No Pants Subway Ride, every now and then I have to deal with logistics of somebody in Chicago is mad because there's another person doing it in Chicago, and I have to get into that fight and decide who's the real No Pants Subway Ride Chicago. And it's just things like that I don't want to deal with. But it's inspiring when people come to you and say, I like what you're doing, can I do something similar in my country? And I always say, yes, go for it and let us know what you do.
How you doing? I'm a fellow Bostonian, so I come to New York often. So first of all, an observation on the video. Did you notice the title of the book of the lady?
Yes, yeah, it's called The Rape of Nanking. It's a book about China, yeah.
Well, I just read rape, and so she kept her cool despite the name was sexual harassment. Anyway, with people in underwear. The second observation is that will never work in Italy because shorts in underwear in Italy is like shorts. In United States is like shorts in Italy. So nobody was, he's wearing shorts because underwear in United States are like this. So,
well, it is winter, but I get your point.
And so the real question is, have you tried experiment outside of New York? Because New York is this bubbling city where everybody, is up to be a comedian or an actor. But what about, I don't know, some other cities?
Yeah, so I'm based in New York, which is why most of our projects are in New York. But we travel to festivals around the world and stage things. Hopefully, we'll come back to Italy one day. If anybody runs a festival or a conference in Italy and wants to invite us to come stage something, we'd love to come back. But yeah, we've staged projects in South Africa and Australia and all over Europe. So. A lot of times we'll go to a new city and the people there will say, it's not going to work here, we're shy, people here are shy, they're not going to react the same way, and then almost always we get the exact same reactions. Because I think the projects that we do just touch on basic human nature. It's funny that people are not wearing underwear when it's very cold outside, or not wearing pants when it's very cold outside. It's funny and it's fascinating when time stops in front of you. And if you get an opportunity to conduct an orchestra, no matter how shy you are, if you say yes to it, you'll have a great time.
I'm curious. Hi, my name is Valerio. I'm based in Miami. I'm a big fan of yours. I've seen the videos actually at the time,
nice.
Pretty much at the time. And what's the average budget for, is it something, because some of them are really low budget, like the underwear thing, but for the Carnegie, all of the other ones are actually part of your business model where you actually have companies paying you a budget for that.
Yeah, it depends and it varies so much. I mean, I started doing this when I was 22 and had no money, and the budget was the $20 I had in my wallet and friends who were helping out. And then it's grown over time, and then for a while the budget was YouTube because I was getting ad revenue from YouTube, so that sort of was funding the projects for a while. And then we started doing things, on the sponsorship model, and we will often just white label, make projects for brands. So it can vary. We can do a independent production that we're doing for fun that cost us $3,000 to make a video, and we can do something like the Target thing, which was in the high six figures because it had, hundreds of dancers and snow machines and a drone and all that. So, we work at all scales.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you, guys.